PM. Welcome to the November 12th, 2024 City of Burlingame Planning Commission meeting. For all in attendance today, please note that this Planning Commission meeting is being held in person and using the Zoom webinar format. Please note that we are not accepting remote public comment during commission meetings. We ask that the public either attend the meetings in person to comment or send an email to publiccomment@burlingame.org. Staff will be monitoring emails submitted during the meeting, which will be read at the appropriate time. Agenda item number 2, roll call. The record should note that 6 members of the commission are present this evening. Looks like Commissioner Camarado is absent. Agenda item number 3, request for AB 2249 remote participation. There are no commissioners participating remotely this evening. Agenda item number 4, approval of the minutes. We actually don't have any minutes to approve this evening. Agenda item number 5, approval of the agenda. Staff, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda. However, we would note that item 9F, which has to do with ADU ordinance updates, has been continued. We expect to bring that to you at the next Planning Commission meeting on November 25th.
Great. Do we have any recusals?
Yes. I will be recusing from items 9A and 9B. For 9A, we are the project architect of record, and 9B, I live within the 500 feet of the applicant, rest of the property.
Very good. Moving on to agenda item number 6, public comments, non-agenda. Members of the public may speak about any item not on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to suggest an item for a future Planning Commission agenda may do so during the public comment period. The Ralph Brown Act, the state local agency open meeting law, prohibits the Planning Commission from acting on any matter that is not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on any item that is not on our agenda? And did we receive any public comment email?
We did not.
Seeing none, we'll move on. Agenda item number 7, study items. We do not have any study items this evening. Agenda item number 8, consent calendar. We do not have any consent calendar items this evening. On to agenda item number 9, regular action items. We do have several items tonight. First one, item 9A, Mr. Say will be recusing, 1345 Columbus Avenue. If you are the applicant and are attending the meeting via Zoom, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communication regarding this project? Nope. As noted, Commissioner Say is recusing from this item. Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. This is for an application for amendment to a previously approved design review project for a new 2-story single-unit dwelling that was approved by the Planning Commission on August 14, 2023. A building permit has also already been issued and construction is underway. The property owners decided to make a series of exterior modifications, which now requires an application for amendment to the previously approved design review project. Please see the applicant's explanation letter dated October 16, 2024 for a detailed list of changes made to the plans. Staff is open to questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for staff? No? All right, I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
Give me 1 second.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, my name's Lauren Lee. I'm with Insight Design, representing Rudy and Sonali, owners of 1345 Columbus Avenue. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have regarding the minor modifications that we have presented.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Just curious what drove the decision to change the window design?
Yes, so going through the design process for the interiors, Rudy and Sonali wanted a little bit more of a modern contemporary Spanish design, and that led us to a more transitional and streamlined grid profile for the windows to create a more current look.
I think that's okay. The only window that seems to be an issue for me is the stair hall, but we'll get to that, I think, during discussion.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? No? Okay. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item, or do we receive any public comment emails?
We received no public comment emails.
All right, seeing none other present, I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have any comments or motions?
Yeah, I mean, in general, it looks okay. I like the design of the previous windows better, but that's just preference. It just feels like that stair hall window, which is already big, with just the two mullions. I don't know, the design of the previous window I like better, but again, not a showstopper. The rear patio doors are all glass now. That's in the rear, so it's not an issue for me, but I like the previous design better as well.
Commissioner Pfaff?
Yes, I agree with my colleague. I also thought the other design held together better with the whole house, and preferred it. I guess this is okay, but I agree in particular that stair window just, I don't think it looks very good that way. So maybe there's some other ways to divide it so it's a little more, just looks kind of gargantuan. So I also wondered about the one, there's a window, I'm actually not sure what it's a window to, but on the same, it would be the proposed left side elevation. The very far left, it could be a bathroom, I have no idea because not sure what I'm looking at exactly, but it's just a very small, long,
I see it.
you see it? Yeah, that one on the same drawing. I think I liked it before, kind of divided. It's a mudroom. Yeah, it kind of looks like to me, when they're put in like that, it sort of looks like they cut in a window at the last minute. And I think the other pattern of dividing it into threes or whatever look better, but wait, also not, I'm not going to fall on my sword for it, but I do think that in particular, the one in the stair hall, just, it doesn't, I don't think it does the house any favors. So anyway, those are my comments.
I'll go. I don't really have any pain points on the window mullions. I think that it's a fine substitution for me, so that I'm not worried about that. I actually do like, though, the entry change. I thought the door with the side light
Nice.
actually made a better entry. So that part I see as an improvement to the overall, but I otherwise don't have any issues with this one.
Yeah, personally for me, I mean, as long as there are mullions on the windows, it's hard for me to assert my subjective opinion. I don't disagree with my fellow commissioners, but to me, it's not enough to throw this back. I'd be inclined to approve this.
Yeah, more or less agree. I think that the windows are a little bit more of a sticking point for me because there are, of the houses on that street, there are ones that have lots of very, very nice divided light windows, and there are ones that have no lights whatsoever that are like more recent buildings or renovations. So I think that it's going to stand out a little bit more when it's built this way, but it's not a big enough deal for me to hold the project up. Everything else, all the other bullet points, I'm totally fine with.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the changes as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Schmidt, seconded by Mr. Haran. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Chair Pfaff,
I'm sorry, did you call my name?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I didn't hear.
No, it's okay.
First this time, yes.
Chair Schmidt,
Yes.
Chair Shores,
Here.
Vice Chair Horan,
Aye.
Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. The motion passes 5011. Inaction by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $900, which includes noticing costs. Congratulations. All right, moving on to agenda item 9B, 1522 La Mesa Drive. If you are the applicant and are attending the meeting via Zoom, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to know any ex parte communications regarding this project? Seeing none, let the record note that Commissioner Say is also recusing from item 9B. Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear a staff report, please?
Yes. An application for design review and hillside area construction permit for a first and second story addition to an existing single unit dwelling and an expansion of the attached garage at 1522 La Mesa Drive was approved by the Planning Commission previously on May 13th of this year. The property owner is now proposing modifications to this previously approved project, which requires an application for amendment to design review as well as a hillside area construction permit. The owner would like to raise the finished floor of the attached two-car garage so that it is at the same level as the first floor of the house, as well as shift the garage towards the right side of the property. Raising the level of the garage would also decrease the slope of the driveway and make it easier for a car to enter and exit the garage. Please see the applicant's explanation letter for more detailed information about the proposed changes being requested. Staff is available to questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for staff?
Yeah, the only one I had was, it wasn't clear to me how far, the entrance to the garage, how many feet is that? From the curb, or I don't even know if there's a curb on that block, but
Well, the setback to the garage is 25 feet 3 inches from the front property line.
Any other questions? All right, I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
Jeff Quinta, Innovative Concepts. Good evening.
Good evening.
So we're here this evening, or I'm here this evening, because we're going to request the garage be removed from the basement level and raised more to the grade level of the house. This came as a request primarily from our civil engineer once we got into the civil and structural drawings after our previous approval. He was extremely concerned of the steepness of the driveway. If you have been to the site previous approval, you could see it's very, very steep. It's really a backing out only driveway. There is no room for turnaround. So we feel that by reducing that slope from what was something on the realm of 17% will be a much safer way to get to the street. It's one way on that side of the street. There's really no street parking. So this proposal would not only give us a safer access to the street, but also provide for more on-site parking. Besides the two that are in the garage, we would now be able to park 3 in the driveway.
Okay, great. Thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
I'm assuming, is this how you would do it? So I'm looking at the garage door without making comments yet. Did you consider, now this is really up front, the garage. Did you consider maybe other other different designs that might go with a house a little better, like arches or something, rather than more of a rancher look? Did you consider different doors to?
Different style garage door?
Yeah, more like Coach or whatever, this French Regency or whatever this.
I
Yeah.
thought we had stayed with the same style garage doors that we did before, but
I can't remember what those were.
yeah.
Sorry.
So it was essentially the same garage with the same size doors, same style doors, but raised up. Now, we will still have to drive down slightly to get to that from the street.
Oh, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean like a mechanically different door. I meant design. Like these are just very basic doors on your garage that you were showing. Maybe I'm not looking at the right plan, but they look like a kind of like a very basic garage door on the double garage. And I'm just asking if you had considered other styles of doors that might go with the house
Oh,
style better. You know what I mean? Am I saying that right?
yeah.
With the, you know,
So I mean, in this revision, we didn't consider different style garage
Okay.
doors, but we were certainly able to do that.
okay, that was my question.
Yes.
Or like
yes.
really
But,
settled.
Definitely, I'm amenable to that.
Okay, okay, sorry, I understood.
In plan view, the garage is now the forward of the main entrance. What drove the positioning of the garage and not having it further?
It's actually not forward of the front, the main entrance, the front porch. It is pulled forward slightly.
E1 shows it's forward. Am I looking at that correctly?
And A9, yeah.
So it would be relatively in line with the entry porch, so not the front wall of the house, if you will. It's maybe a foot or so in front of the entry porch. I believe we have the ability with our setbacks to increase the depth of the entry porch.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if there was a civil or architectural reason for the positioning. Could you explain the rear elevation of the new garage? I can't really follow what's going on there on A03. Please call them coins. Because you've got like in the center, you've got that faux coin going up the middle of it, and then on the corners you have them. And then I don't know what that middle band is.
Oh, okay. So as we were working on the civil plans, we took a look at the fire access
Mhm.
around the building. And what we determined was if we were to follow the slopes, because it's a very steep slope, it would be extremely hard for the firemen to get around to the back of the building.
Mhm.
So what you're looking at on that rear elevation is you're looking at stairs that would, on the left-hand side,
Mhm.
stairs that would come down and then onto a sloping pathway
Mhm.
around the back of the garage, and then stairs again done as stepping stones coming towards the rear of the building and then around to the back.
That's clear. I was referring just to the facade itself.
There's, it's two levels. It splits, like the garage is further forward in one half of it and further back because there's a bathroom there.
You can see it on A10.
A10.
Where is it? A10.
A10.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
I see what you mean.
Yeah, what you're seeing on the left side
Let me
is,
look at A10 to make sure I'm,
it's a bathroom. So when when we took the garage, elevated it up, we lost the ability to have this bathroom in the front bedroom.
Okay, so that, I can see that, but what are the horizontal bands then?
So those are the bands or the foam molding that we have horizontally. These are under the windows.
Okay.
So it'd be the same molding that we have on the front of the house.
Okay. And then last question is, what's happening underneath the garage? Is that a full,
So that is, it is like a storage space under the garage.
what's the height of that?
And so if you were to look at sheet A6,
Yeah.
you'll see why the floor area increased. Because that area that is beneath the garage, the area that's shaded on that drawing is over 7 feet in height.
Okay.
But it's not drastically that much more than 7 feet. It's just that particular area because of the slope. So if you look at the rear elevation A11, you'll see the door into that access area. So at the point where there's a break and the shading starts on A6,
Mhm.
that's where 7 feet begins. The back of the garage, the lowest corner there, would be about 10 feet
Okay.
space.
And just for interest, what's the structure of the garage floor? How is the garage floor constructed?
Okay, so that will be a concrete floor
Mhm.
on the garage over wood framing.
Mhm.
It's put in with the channel decking, and then there'll be, the engineer will work on the size of the floor framing for the garage and also the floor beams. There'll be several beams underneath the garage framing to support that. We thought that would be more effective than trying to fill all that area. That's a lot of space to fill in with soil.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, do we have any members of public attending in person who wish to speak on this item? Or do we receive any public comment email? Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to close the
welcome.
public hearing. Commissioners, do we have any comments and or motions?
Yes, my
Sure,
comment
Pfaff.
is, if the garage is now much more prominent, and I think the disconnect with the style to the house. There are such beautiful garage doors made now, carriage style and stuff. They function the same, with beautiful, I don't know, arches. It could be really lovely, like a carriage house style. I think it wouldn't be as, this just a disconnect in design to me this way. So I think I'm okay with it if the garage, personally, if the garage doors were done in a style that kind of was complementary with the house.
Yeah, I'm supportive of the changes. I think it's much safer. That existing driveway, it would be very difficult to back out of. And it still complies with all the setbacks and FAR, so the fact that it's fully compliant is great. I do agree with my fellow commissioner. The garage doors probably should be punched up a bit just because it is so prominent now. Before it was kind of underground, you didn't even see it. Now it's almost street level. I think a nicer garage door. And it's proud of the house. I see what you're saying. It might not be proud of the portico overhang, but it is a two-car garage right in the front of the house, so it's going to be very visible.
Yeah, I definitely agree with my commissioners have said so far. I think generally overall, I'm pretty supportive of the project. I think there's a lot of things, like for instance, if you rotated the gable roof over the garage, that could give you a lot of space in that gable end to add perhaps more decorative foam arches that kind of mirror the rest of the house. Nicer garage doors would also be nice, but that being said, a very prominent garage in front of the house is kind of the theme of this street in this area because of the way that the slopes are. So I think as is, the project is already head and shoulders above what else is on the street. I'm happy with how it is so far. I think with a a very minor upgrade in the garage doors, I'd be very happy to support this project.
I'm supportive of the changes. I agree with both the comments about the garage door, but also then even the roof. You have a great point because
Be better.
I was thinking about the garage doors and trying to arch them and make them look nicer. There's just no headroom once you take into consideration that part of the roof coming forward. If you rotated and gable ended it, you'd have you'd have a much larger surface to work with to design the doors. And I think there's an opportunity for it to align with the rest of the openings
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, I have nothing unique to add. I agree with what my commissioner said. Is this something we can put as part of a motion? Or do we want to see these garage doors?
Through the chair, staff would be happy to work with the applicant on the doors, just to make sure they're more decorative and in keeping with the design of the house. So
And what
you
about,
can add that in the condition.
and regarding is the roof, you know, I wanted to say that, but I don't know the language to use on the, I was like hip
Well,
or something. Is something,
yeah,
is that too much to
I-
ask for?
that would probably, this is in the view overlay zone, hillside overlay zone, so any change to the roof height is a little bit more involved. So we may have to,
It was just a rotation. Yeah.
I think his peak is fine.
Mhm.
And it actually, by switching it the other way, it actually makes it more through from a visual.
Mhm.
It reduces the view corridor even less.
So what I would say is if you can include it in the condition of approval, but just specifically specify that the roof ridge height of the attached garage would not change or increase. Would not increase, I should say.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve this project with the condition of staff reviewing a more decorative garage door composition and considering to rotate the roof over the garage 90 degrees with the ridge remaining at the same height or lower.
And just to clarify, the rotation of the roof is not a requirement. The applicant may choose to do so. However, on the doors, that is are you saying that is a
Yes.
requirement? Okay, we'll make that distinction in the condition of approval.
Mhm.
So what he said.
I will second what he said.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Schmidt, seconded by Commissioner Pfaff. Do we have any discussion on that motion? All right. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Chair Pfaff,
Aye.
Chair Schmidt,
Aye.
Chair Shores,
Aye.
Vice Chair Horan,
Aye.
and Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. Motion passes 5011. An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $900, which noticing costs. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Commissioner
to-
Say is making her way back.
All right. We're moving on to item 9C, but we'll wait for Commissioner Say to come back. Welcome back, Commissioner Say. On to item 9C, 19 El Juanito Way. If you are the applicant and are attending the meeting via Zoom, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communication regarding this project?
Yes.
Commissioner Say.
Yes, I did meet with the property owner of 15 El Canito Way.
As did I.
Thank you.
I did also.
Yeah, I did as well last Friday.
Thank you. No commissioners recusing. Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
Yes. Please note that this project for design review and hillside area construction permit for a first and second floor in addition to an existing single unit dwelling was previously heard at 2 public hearings in front of the Planning Commission. As noted before, This project is located within the Hillside Overlay Zone, where hillside development shall be designed to preserve existing distant views. View preservation shall be limited to obstruction of distant views to the San Francisco Bay, SFO, and Mills Canyon from primary indoor living areas, such as living rooms, family rooms, and dining areas. A new second story is proposed above the portion of the house that is a single story. Staff is open to questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions for staff? Nope. Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you would like to add about your project?
Good evening, Commission. Tim Rudines, project designer. I think this kind of comes down to a few points, and I'll keep it fairly quick. You know, the slice of view that we're talking about is more of a man-made view. You go to the left and the right of the view, it's all forest. This has been done by the neighbors controlling their trees for the last few years. Point number two, the views of these neighbors on that side of the street, all of them, their main views are the canyons. Which we also enjoy the canyon view. So that is their main view. Number three is this sets a pretty dangerous precedent, basically saying that no one on that side of the street can build a two-story house. You know, it's to the neighbor, you know, to the left of them, and then also to the other neighbor that will probably be coming up tonight, you know, expressing his opinion. Again, this is not a natural view. It's a sliver that was kind of cut through the forest, and that's done by some people, you know, keeping their trees at bay. I'm here to answer any questions, and I believe the owners will be coming up as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes. I was actually just looking at your elevation of the second story that is facing east,
Mm-hmm.
and you got little to no window there.
It's a floor to ceiling.
Well, no, but I mean, you have them facing out to the canyon, but not
On the corner,
facing the
correct.
view corridor in question.
Ruben, could you put up the elevation? Yeah, the lower proposed right elevation, there's a floor to ceiling window that's, I think, 42 inches.
On the corner.
On the corner. Also, if this does get approved or we have a continuance, we'll start putting extra effort into finishing up some of the other comments that we had. And we've spent a lot of money on story poles, and there hasn't really been, you know, I think this is a 50-50 toss-up. I don't know. I mean, we'll find out in a few minutes, but definitely, you know, if this gets approved, we will, you know, definitely work on that corner. But we did think of it. It's just,
Yeah, no, I was just surprised.
yep.
Okay.
I have a question.
Commissioner Say.
Yeah, I was just curious if you did look at any floor plan studies to address, kind of follow the direction that we had provided.
That would be another point. We did look into it. We spent a good meeting going through, pushing it all the way to the front. I know cost is not normally something that you can say that's a majority of you basically starting over. It would be a very weird addition to the front. It wouldn't, we'd just basically tear the whole house apart. I just don't think it really works. And also, it's just not a feasible, it would just be a very large box, single story. I don't, there might be a way, but it would be cost prohibitive and it's not what they want.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm sorry, do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item, or do we just public comment emails? Yeah, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Angelique. I'm the owner of 19 El Juanito. So I wanted to close the loop from last meeting, and I remember you guys trying to be creative regarding the setbacks, and we really appreciate the offer. And so, as Tim mentioned, we talked about what could be possible with our budget, and we realized that it meant really a lot of additional costs. That meant more design costs, meaning more of Tim's time to redesign everything. More foundation costs, because that means moving foundations forward, more landscaping costs, for something that we are still not guaranteed to be satisfactory for our neighbor. Like, it would still, looking at the line of sight, it would still potentially be still very choppy. So we still feel that the design that we propose is the best for the neighborhood and for our budget, which we're already stretching to put this for this project forward for our family. Also, from the street standpoint, if we move forward, that means we are kind of like cutting the line of sight for the street. It will look really choppy and weird. And we are the only house at the end of the street with, greenery, and we really enjoy that. And we know our neighbors enjoy that. Also from last meeting, we gathered support from our neighbors. So our neighbors who live at 17, which is between 15 and our house. Our neighbor who is facing us, who enjoys canyon views. We couldn't reach our neighbors who are left from us, but we know we have their support. Right now, they're on a cruise for a month. But they were very supportive of the project because they understand that this brings more value to the neighborhood and really supports, what most people want to do in Burlingame, which is expand their homes and bring it more value. I do feel strongly for our neighbor that, we are not damaging the value of their property. I think, when people buy on our street, it's really for the views from the back, the trees. That's what everybody comments about. Nobody would want to buy a house because of rooftop views, which they currently have. So I really hope that we can reach a decision today so that we can move forward with our project. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Go ahead.
Hi, so I'm the neighbor at 15 El Juanito. I don't know, there's a lot of statements being made about the type of the view. The applicant never bothered to even knock on the door and say, hey, you mind if we look inside? Maybe it's awkward, maybe it's weird. I don't think it's weird for a designer or architect to do that. So I think a lot of the statements that were made, I don't want to argue them. I just don't think they're exactly accurate. The way that, like, niche view and things like that, it's a major feature of the house. It's very unique to the house, even its placement. I wouldn't have issues with any other home, not with Erica or Eric and Yasmin and the people across the streets. This is just the definition, I think, of the law as we interpret it, or the ordinance, sorry. And so it's just weird. Yeah, and I'm sorry we're in this situation. It's kind of tough. The last thing I'll say is, I don't know what the ordinance means. I mean, that view is similar to views that are all throughout Hillside Drive or Hillside and that whole slope facing the bay. And so we're making a pretty strong statement to the broader neighborhood, even beyond our street. I've had other neighbors from the other side of the street actually specifically comment that it breaks the roof lines also that we have. So anyways, I don't want to go into that. I think you guys have a lot of the information. Curious where you guys. Yeah.
Through the chair, are we allowed to ask him a question? Or no? Can I ask him a question? Can't?
I suppose you, through the,
It's a quick question.
Sure.
Acoustically, I wasn't sure I could hear. Did you say that the architect, the designer did not go in the house, in your house? Has
No,
not
no.
been in your house?
I've invited to have conversations.
And-
I
And the
just text
homeowners also not? Nobody was,
said just talk to my architect, but I think that also applies. That's weird for me to
Okay.
reach.
that's,
But I think reaching out the other way, the way you guys reach out, and we had emails and can I come over and this, whatever. So if you're going to make statements about the quality of the view, I would like you to come inside the house and take a look. We,
thank you. I just acoustically, I wasn't sure I heard right. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We all finished?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? And no public comment emails? Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing.
Sorry, can I ask another question of the designer?
I'm going to reopen the public hearing.
Well, oh, did you? No, I was trying to catch you before you closed the
Yeah,
public.
yeah, no, it's fine.
Um,
Applicant want to come forward?
I'm just trying to read the drawings and try to understand, is there, are you proposing to do any excavation down on that lower floor to enlarge the basement? Or is that
It's
existing
just the
full
stair,
height crawl space?
just the stairwell.
Just the stairwell. Does it look like the room is getting bigger in that basement?
The room's getting bigger because of the stairwell, yes.
Hmm.
But 75, 80% of it's exist.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you should be able to see it on the FAR sheet too, if you have it. I don't know. Sometimes they don't give you the FAR sheet, but
Yeah, no, I think I can see it. Okay, thank you.
sure.
Any other members of the public wish to comment? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have any comments and or motions? Who would like to start?
Well, I'll start.
Sure.
I actually was very sympathetic to the applicant until I got into the house, the number 15. I would describe the neighbor's home as being open, almost an open floor plan, and I do actually find that view important. They have it from actually two faces of the wall facing down towards the neighbor. And yeah, it's true. There is a view to the canyon, but I found the argument quite compelling about the kitchen area and the living space. It's almost like not an Eichler, but it's extremely modern home with big open beams. And it just, we are really careful with this kind of decision that comes up all the time. And I personally found it quite compelling and would have loved to have seen another rendition of this on one story. I don't know that had been explored. Actually, it was. I did watch the film last meeting, and I thought my colleagues were quite clever, suggesting one floor going, maybe with a sort of setback, possibly setback variance if it's necessary, and I thought that would have been a nice thing to explore. So I personally was quite sympathetic about the view of the number 15. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Say?
Yeah, I understand how challenging this is, and I can see both from the applicant's perspective as well as from the neighbor's perspective of, a view that they enjoy every day that's proposed to be blocked forever. I disagree with it being a tiny slice of a view. If you look even at the photos, I can't even really imagine the trees really growing so close together that would fully block the view. Looking at I did get a chance to go inside the neighbor's home at 15 El Canito and can see that, just the shape and size and orientation of the window in their combined dining and living room space is almost deliberately towards the bay view. It wasn't just by happenstance that appeared there. They also have a view of that bay from the kitchen, which, is really, I think, per our ordinance, kind of considered a secondary view. But if looking at it from the living dining room space, it clearly they clearly enjoy a bay view in the distance. So it's difficult to try to support the second story addition here, knowing that view will be blocked. I don't necessarily believe that everyone on the street won't be able to add a second story. It really is a case by case basis, depending on one's siting, location, and potential blocking views of other homes. Certainly, there could be a home on the street that could add a second story where an uphill neighbor doesn't have any windows looking towards the view. In this particular case, there is a view being blocked. I'm also a little bit bothered that we don't get a chance to see a potential one-story plan. I would have hoped to see at least an attempt at that and then agree or disagree that works or doesn't work for the home. I just can't think that with such a creative designer on the project that there couldn't be some other solution that could be worked out. I think we've been generous in offering, a more generous setback or lack of a setback at the front. There seems to maybe even be space downstairs to add some room to the house. And I don't necessarily believe either that it would be more costly to expand a one-story plan than to add a large second story or fair-sized second story to the home, including having to excavate a new staircase in the basement to go up and down the multiple floors. So it's challenging, and those are my thoughts this time.
Thank you.
Not much to add. I think we take it seriously. This is not our ordinance. We're just here to enforce it. In my time on the commission, I've never agreed with a homeowner who said they have a protective view until now. I think I was skeptical from the outside. It appeared that there was not a view, but I would go even farther. It looks like that window was purposely designed with the house to take advantage of that view. I would encourage you to go in because it changed my mind as soon as I was sitting down. So.
Nothing to add. I pretty much more or less agree on all counts there. It's definitely not like an afterthought side light, something like that.
I was not able to make it inside the house, so mine is strictly a point of view from what I could see from the driveway. And I felt it was a much more sliver view, but I will concede to my fellow commissioners that there's more from the inside than outside.
Yeah, personally, I'm in the same boat as Commissioner Schmidt, as I did not get a chance to go into the neighbor's home. From the outside, I agree, it's not as obvious, but I do defer to my commissioners who were able to go into that house. The ordinance is important, right? Because if you have a view, it's important to you. So I think, and I do agree that I agree with what Commissioner Say said very well, is it doesn't set a precedent. Each one of these is case by case. And I do believe that there is an option here to do a single story. It may not be ideal, but the world's sometimes not ideal. So I think we can get some good space on this property and a better house. I just feel like, unfortunately, this second story is, I think it's an uphill battle. No pun intended. Do we have a motion or any further discussion?
I'll just add that I want to reiterate that we all had said previously that we'd be very amenable, conditions of approval or other, I forget the term that's been here before, but essentially waivers to go a little bit outside of normal things like setbacks and things like that in order to help make this project work in a way that didn't unfortunately detrimentally impact a neighbor's view. So just want to reiterate that.
Yeah, agreed. So,
I don't know what is this then? Maybe possibly continuance or I don't know, how do we do this?
And this would just be a denial of the project based off of what
Oh, it-
sounds like the planning commission's going, and then that, of course, could be appealed later.
Or you can continue, or we could,
we can.
we could
or we can-
also move to continue to give them the opportunity to explore, or is it, I mean,
I
it's
would
not what
recommend
is.
this because we've spent 3 hearings on this
Mhm.
to make sure that the applicant has some finality, and if they want to appeal, it's probably better to give a final decision.
Right, then I'm gonna, I'll have to do that, then
That won't stop them from bringing back
a new one.
Right. Absolutely not. A new project could be
Not a-
submitted.
Then is it, I move to deny without prejudice? Is that?
Just to deny the project.
Just to, okay, I'm going to move to deny the application as submitted for 19 El Juanito Way.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Pfaff, seconded by Commissioner Say. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Just
Oh, yeah, discussion.
in the motion, just maybe to add due to blocking protected views, just to make sure.
Due to blocking protected views as per ordinance.
Yeah.
And does the second?
And I
agree with-
second, yes, I agree.
A roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Pfaff,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Horan,
Aye.
and Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. The motion passes 6-0-0-1. This action is not appealable.
No, it is appealable.
It is appealable.
You'll read the appeal language here.
An action by the planning commission is appealable to the city council within 10 days of the planning commission's action. If the planning commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the city council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $900, which includes noticing costs. Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 9D, 1033 Cortez Avenue. If you are the applicant and are attending the meeting via Zoom, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communication regarding this project? Okay, let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear staff report, please?
Yes, this is an application for design review and special permits for plate height and second floor deck for a new 2-story single unit dwelling and special permit for side setback for a new detached garage. This application is coming back from and was previously had a public hearing in front of the Planning Commission for a design review study. Staff is open to question at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay, seeing none. I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
Hi, good evening. I'm Elaine Lee. I'm the architect for the project. We took in to accord the comments that were made by the commissioners at the last study meeting and have added more detail to the home. If anybody cares, I can list the detail. Is that okay? So we added decorative gable vents, decorative headers. We added just more information in the rendering at the elevations, lighting, downspouts. We added some corbels at the rear. So really at both the right side elevation and the front and rear elevations, additional detail was added. I think the project has been improved by the comments and the changes we've made accordingly. And I think that's all I'd like to explore this. Any questions commissioners have on that?
Unfortunately, you broke up a little bit at the end, but I think you were basically wrapping up your presentation. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I have an architectural. Yes, I see that there's an application for part of going out of the plate height for part of the bedroom or something. I don't understand that. In the rear, that.
There's a portion of the plate. I'm sorry. There's a portion of the second floor plate at the primary bedroom that's 8'8", whereas the bulk of it, the rest of it is at 8 feet. And so that is the subject of the special permit request.
Okay, and there's kind of no go around. Okay. Thank you very much for that. And the second question I couldn't understand looked like there were two conflicting comments. Is the oak in the back, is that remaining or it's not remaining? The big oak?
The oak in the back is remaining. The only tree where there was any discrepancy was a street tree, which
That's gone.
which I've been informed is gone. Public Works decided to remove it. So
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Say?
Oh, I just wanted to make a quick note. I didn't see it in your summary of edits, but did want to acknowledge that you made some window changes, I think in the primary bathroom. And
so that was
they seem
in
amenable to me.
deference, to the neighbors' concerns for privacy.
Yes, and they're amenable to me. Just wanted to make a note.
Any other questions? Okay. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item, or do we receive any public comment emails?
Yes, we did receive one public comment email. This is from Vitas Visconta. The project feels generic. The street frontage does not address Burlingame design guidelines. The facade feels intentional in not making a design statement. Unfortunate for a site adjacent to a creek with good tree canopy to address. I have no additional comments on the plan, setbacks, or other planning issues. Ratchet up expectations.
Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have any comments or motion?
Well, maybe I should have asked it before. When there are these corner pieces on the edges, is this hardy board? Okay. So they do that, they don't cut angles at the corners?
Yeah, sure.
Sliders?
I can't.
Okay, got it. You don't necessarily have to paint them that color. Well, we don't do paint, but okay. No, it was just a curiosity question. That was it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I actually think that the architect has done a nice job in listening to our comments. I think the added detail, even if it is as little as adding some lights and downspouts, I think has made the elevation look a lot better. I appreciate the header over the second story window. I appreciate the extra detail in the columns on the front porch. I think the project is pulled together nicely and looks like what I expect will happen for it. So I appreciate that, and I think it was a good job, well done, and I support this one.
I agree. I like the change to the window in the master bath. I thought that was too big and addresses the neighbor's concern. Maybe this is a comment for staff as well. Tracking these changes was very difficult, and they weren't clouded. Whereas the 1345 Columbus from Insight had top and bottom what was submitted. That I would like to see that in the future. It's really not valuable to resubmit the entire plan, pages that didn't change, but then not have where the changes are not clouded, and it's difficult. You have to find them yourself. So if architects and applicants can make it easier for the commission, that would be helpful.
That. Of course.
No, definitely agree with that. Yeah, no, I do agree with the public comment that it's not necessarily making a statement, but I think that's okay. I think it doesn't need to make a statement to meet the design guidelines. And I think that the changes the architect has made is basically exactly what the project needed to come together. I don't think there's anything necessarily I could add to it at this point or suggest to add. So I'm in favor of the project.
I never saw it the first round, but I'm looking at comparison, and I think the Planning Commission did a good job with comments to add some detail that really, I think, pulls it nicely together, and I think it looks nice. So,
Yeah, I too wanted to acknowledge the edits that were made, and I appreciate the change in the slope of the roof over the front room as well, which makes an improvement from, at least eye level or pedestrian level from afar. And I think there's just some quiet charm to this home. It's, not calling a lot of attention to itself. I think it just looks like it just fits nicely against the edge here at the end of the street. So if there aren't any other comments, I move that we approve this project as per the conditions of the staff report.
I'll second that.
And you're good with the plate height and the deck?
Yes, and I would go with the plate height for the primary bedroom.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Say, seconded by Commissioner Haran. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Pfaff,
aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Horan,
Aye.
and Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0-0-1. An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $900, which includes noticing costs. Congratulations. Okay, moving along to item 9E, 1317 Paloma Avenue. If you are the applicant and are attending the meeting via Zoom, please raise your hand so that we may be prepared for you to speak at the appropriate time. If possible, we ask that you also turn on your video at that time. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communication?
I did meet with the property owner and had a tour of the house inside and out.
Great. Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear staff report, please?
Yes. Please note that this is the second time this project has been brought forth in front of the Planning Commission, and that previously this was continued to another meeting because the applicant did not attend that meeting. Once again, this is an application for design review and special permit for a second-story plate height for a new two-story single-unit dwelling and detached garage that was previously approved by the Planning Commission on October 24th of 2022. A building permit was issued on September 6, 2023, and construction is nearing completion. However, now the property owner decided to make several exterior modifications during construction, which now requires an application for amendment to the previously approved design review project. The applicant initially submitted an explanation letter dated September 27th of this year, and then a second explanation letter dated October 27th of this year in response to the Commission's review on October 15th. Please see the explanation letter for detailed list of as-built changes made to the project. Staff is open to questions at this time. Thank you.
I'm sorry I was gone the couple weeks ago when this was reviewed. Were the changes proposed? No, they were done, but did they go through the counter first, or were they just done and found by an inspector?
These are as-built changes.
So what does that mean? Someone
They were already done.
after they
They were done, and then
they were done, and then the applicant came and said, I did this, or they were done, and an inspector said, that does not look like the plan.
correct. The
Okay.
planning division went out,
Thank you.
noted those changes during
Thank you.
inspection.
Any other questions for staff? Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
Good evening. I'm Behzad Hajian. I'm the partner for the project and, Wheeler. Basically, I think the main focus is about the gable ends, the truss that we have requested to remove. I believe for the chimney and the shutters, everyone was in agreement to remove those ones. What I need to emphasize here is it's the main purpose of this modification request is not cost saving. So basically, we have some technical problems here due to low pitch of the gables and as well as the different overhangs. So, and the way the house is more transitional, is craftsman, but transitional. So it's a matter of preference and a matter of, the right fit for the house. So again, we work on some options for the gable, for the corbels. And again, because of the different overhangs, we had some difficulties to fit any right gable, the right corbels for the gables. So what we are proposing right now is the beam extension that, for the main in the front of the house. But to be honest with you, the preference is just keep the house the way it is, not adding anything, if this committee agrees. So if you have any question, I'm here.
Thank you. Do we have questions for the applicant?
Could you explain the letter explanation on the decorative brackets for the columns? The decorative brackets have been removed due to height concerns. I'm not sure I follow that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
For the front columns, it says the decorative brackets have been removed due to height concerns. That's the justification that you provide.
Okay, there are a couple of things here. One of these is the height. So, anything for those columns is going to be kind of on the way. So that's one of the things. The column on the very right, I have a camera right there, so it's not explained there. So that's again the second thing that, still, camera, the column already is on the way of the camera. So if I add anything there, it's not going to work there. And the third one is everything in this house is just like, square. So I don't have anything curvy inside and outside of the house. So the way it is right now, everything works together right now. So we don't find it, adding any value to add anything to the column with the situation we have.
And then, so unfortunately, the extended beam that you're recommending is so small on the strong, I'm not clear what you're actually proposing. I know you'd prefer to do nothing, but what exactly are you proposing to do instead of the corbels at the gable ends? You show something circled, but it's just it's showing up as a very small square that has no detail.
Just a 6x6 square.
Okay.
Just beam.
How far out does it go beyond the overhang?
It's just about an inch or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Well, I have a question, but you maybe asked it last time. When you must have realized that something wasn't going together right, or your builder, so did did you ever think maybe you should come to the counter and say, I need to redo something, and what's the process, so that maybe, you know, there could be some good suggestions before it was already all built? Did anything like that happen, or you think about that?
You know, we did our best to find the best, you know, replacement for the truss we had. And so in the first place, the truss was not the right design for the house. I don't want to undermine the architect, but with the low pitch we have, you know, anything you add here is going to be extra. So I, you know, invited commissioners to come and, you know, see the situation. You know, Commissioner C was kind enough to, you know, make time and come there. And I did my best to explain that why I'm asking to eliminate these trusts. And so if you see the house, you know, the feedback I'm getting from the audience, from the neighbors, this is not like, we are not trying, like I said, to save any cost. I really believe that this is the best design right now it has, and it doesn't need anything. So this is like, you know, we signed a contract for the, you know, siding contractors or the painter in the very beginning of the project. So it's not like with eliminating that, I'm saving $2,000-3,000. Nobody's going to return any money to me. And, you know, I'm the builder, and I'm the one selling the house. So if anything adds value, really, I would never compromise that. So this is my, you know, I genuinely believe that this house doesn't need anything. So in terms of technical, you know, point of view, and in terms of preference. So again, you know, if it's not satisfactory, you know, I can meet with you at the house, and, you know, I'm open to any suggestion, but I don't think.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to close the public hearing. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. We have to ask the members and public attending in person who wish to speak on this item. Are there any members present? Did we receive any public comment emails? No. Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Do we have any comments or motions for this project?
I have a general comment. This is I wasn't here the last time, but I've seen this house a couple of times before, I believe. So this is so pared down to me that the difference is when you look at something stripped like this, and someone really wants to have a very spar house, then you do things like beef up the landscape maybe. The landscape, which we approved, I believe, is almost like non-existent. And so it's just, everything is so stripped back. If this is, there would be no purpose to design review if everyone just built what they wanted. We used to have that a long time ago. Everyone just built what they wanted to do and say, I think that looks the best. That's really not the process. So I have trouble with this one personally. And I did drive by and I did go to the home. I didn't see the inside. I looked at the outside.
I too went by and looked at the outside, which is what we're tasked with, is what we're actually reviewing. And it looks flat. You know, things have been taken. The shutters might do no value. Most of the shutters in this town don't add any use value. They are decorative. And so, but they're there to provide a level of detail or a materiality change or some interest. The brackets, on the columns on the porch They were put in and the elevation was that way, and they're not actually a head issue. And I don't see why they couldn't be there. Um, I don't see any reason why the end truss couldn't have been there. Now, personally, I don't know that any one of these items, I'm ready to die on, but the fact that we gave the feedback last time saying that this was not enough, the beam extensions don't add anything either. Many of the houses in the adjoining area have full-on brackets with knee supports and everything that then create depth. This is just still a 2-foot overhang that is actually oversized and doesn't have anything holding it up. So I think that I have a hard time supporting the removal of everything and getting a corbel beam extension. It's not really what we were looking for to try and enhance this. I think the last project that was up here was a perfect example of it didn't have enough detail when they came in the first time, but then she heard what we said and came back with a bunch more information that made the house look good. We have the opportunity of driving by the house and it looks flat. I wouldn't have approved that the first time around either. So I don't think that we've made any progress on this, FYI.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the process. I think if this were presented, I might not have had a problem with it, but that's not what was presented, and it's not what was approved, and it's not the applicant's right to change what was approved without prior approval. I still think that you have another problem. The neighbor to the right is a highly detailed house, so it looks even flatter by comparison. It's not a bad-looking house. It's just not what was approved. And, I don't think that you've made a good will attempt to try to add some details back in. The reasoning doesn't hold water for me. The brackets on the column, unless you're 7'2", are not going to get in anyone's way walking under them. So to say it's a height constraint doesn't make sense to me. The slope of the roof was what was shown on the original architect's drawings. The overhang depth was what was shown on the original architect's drawings, and yet you showed a truss. I personally don't like the truss, but that was what was approved, right? So it's setting a bad precedent to allow an applicant and an architect to present drawings that we spend time commenting on and trying to improve, and then the builder builds whatever they want and says that it looks better than what the architect designed. We can't, that's not the way the process works.
Comments? Commissioner Say?
Yeah, so I guess I was the only one that maybe took up the invitation to go and see the house in detail. Of course, we can see from the street as well, the outside. But I did get the opportunity to look inside the house as well and listen to the applicant and or the property owner, developer on kind of the level of detail and quality of effort that was put into the construction of the home. And we had a long talk about the process and how, you need to be respectful of the process, just like was just said by my fellow commissioner. But I've looking at the house and looking at the eave extensions. I originally was the one who was commenting on how the depth of the eave projection is too deep, like to have nothing there. And I looked at it more carefully, and I don't think that these beam extensions really do much of anything. I'd rather see nothing there than to see those. But I've kind of come to, I'm at peace now with the way the house looks. I've kind of spent the week going around looking at other homes of this style. Do they all have brackets and corbels? And there's, lots of homes with a similar change in siding orientation at the gable end and no other detail. And like Commissioner Haran said, if this originally came to us for approval, we may not, we may have just approved it as is. I think the applicant hopefully is learning his lesson from this. He shared with me this is the second project through the Planning Commission, and hopefully is more respectful of this process going forward. But I'm okay with it as it is now. I just see a lot of the detail that's gone in, even to the eave vents that are built in. It's very nicely, carefully crafted. And I don't think that this is a cost-cutting measure that's being proposed, but simply a design aesthetic that he's trying to transfer from the outside to the inside, which is very modern on the interior.
My biggest issue is I look at some of these projects with the end user as a forefront, the lens. Since this is a spec house, my lens changes. And I do that with all projects that I see. If it's what the homeowner really wants, and there's certain things that, who am I to say that, gable ends and truss ends and knee braces are better or worse, but this is a spec house. And so when I see this house from the street, I see flat. I also use the word sterile. It doesn't do a lot for me. And I'm seeing these houses right now sit on the market and they're not selling. And they will. I mean, the market will come back. But the problem is it's a tough market out there. And although we all want to say it's not cost-cutting measures, I build these things for a living. It's not a couple $1,000s. You're looking at tens of thousands of dollars of trim detail, painting, coordination. It's not a minimal amount of money. And so I could totally respect why some of these things are taken out of the plan. I get asked it all the time by my clients, and I have to say the same thing. Like, look, if you're going to make substantial changes, you have to go back to the planning department to ask if it's going to be I have one currently right now that just had the conversation this morning. They wanted to just push it through to building without going back to the planning with substantial changes. And I said, that's a big risk. I wouldn't recommend it. So then that all being said, so what? So now what? We're going to have them tear the house down? Or are we going to have them add all these things? I don't know. I don't know where we draw the line. And so I guess I'm a little bit on the side of Commissioner Say is basically making peace with it, because it's not a terrible looking house. I'm not saying it looks bad, but what Commissioner made the point, it sits next to a very decorative house. It's not doing it any favors. So I think we have two options. We either let it go and approve it, or we give very specific things that we want included to approve it. And I don't know what those are.
Well, I think just trying to restore 100% the original design might not be the way to go, right? I think there's definitely some merit to a cleaner or simplified look, but I think that I think that there's definitely room to budge, just like the last project. A cumulative group of very small details can really make or break something. So I just off the top of my head, that post in the gable end, those could be replicated on the inside of the gable end. That's just one thing. I don't know if the exact design of the braces in those corners is the way to go, because they do have a little bit of a sort of maybe hand-milled flourish to them. If there's a simpler design that keeps a more sleek aesthetic that would still add something to those corners, I think that might be the way to go. But other than that, I'm not exactly 100% sure what the way to go is.
Anybody have any opinions on if we were going to have them come back again, what we want to see?
Well, again, if this had been presented to us, it's a whole package. It's the landscaping, it's a lot of stuff. When we saw this the first time, it had a whole bunch of detail on it, maybe too much. I know there were a few comments. I went back to the very, very first time we looked at this, and there were some comments like, you don't maybe have to do all these things, and then it came back a little bit simpler. But if we'd gotten this one, I at least would have asked for a much more robust landscape. It looks like drought resistant. I mean, there's hardly anything there. And not even, I mean, they're using an existing very small tree, which we said fine to originally, because the house had some interest to it. Now it has, to me, it's extremely flat. And it's a package. To me, it's a package. So I do have a problem with the process. I don't know how many times we've discussed this same issue over and over again, but now is this one, and there is a process, and the process wasn't followed. So you're getting like everything's half baked because we're not looking at the whole thing again. Right now, we're just discussing just the details on the house, but it was really a whole package. That's what I have a problem with. So I would not be able to, I cannot approve this way. You guys can do what you want, but I just have a problem with the process and not going through doing it the right way, because things could have been caught earlier and helped. It wouldn't have been a cost issue, so.
No disagreement there. Are there things that we agree that should be put back? Like, start with like the shutters. Do those need to come back?
I thought we already agreed that we all let the shutters go last time.
Right. And then what about the knee braces?
We also let the stone cladding on the fireplace go last time. Those were the
But we're not getting it.
too. No, but those were things we agreed to, so at least that's where we start.
Okay.
Right.
So the stone and the shutters. And what about the missing knee braces? Is that really going to swing the pendulum? I don't know.
I mean, if the knee braces go in, then I also want to see them in the gable ends. Like, I think they round out, they kind of go together.
Sure.
But just on the posts, they don't really do anything for me. And now that I've seen the inside of the house, I don't really feel like they go with the outside. So that's where I'm standing now subjectively.
But knee braces don't have to be curved, right?
No, I mean, they could just
They could be
angle, they could just be 45 degrees.
modern knee brace, not a,
Or to Commissioner Shore's point, more of that that detail at the peak in the trusses, in the gable ends. I mean, it sounds like we need more detail on those, on the gable ends.
Right. It sounds like detail on the gable ends and then detail on the porch posts are the two. Are there any other areas that?
Well, I'd be open to listening to more landscape, because
Mhm.
it could make a world of difference on this house. It is flat. I have no interest in it, and we're not getting anything back for what's being stripped. So I'm like Commissioner Pfaff, there's not a way I'm gonna approve this. Something has to be done. And I think landscape would be an alternative way of being able to dress
Sure.
up, but otherwise it's just flat.
Do we want to ask the applicant, would they be open to, or do we just want to give a conditions of continuance and say, come back when you have more detail at these gable ends, more landscaping?
If this was coming to me now as a first time, I would be saying design review consultant.
So would I.
And if the applicant can come back with something that is more satisfactory, that's fine. But if the applicant doesn't have that, then they might need help to finish this off. Because I can sympathize. I don't want him to be stuck here in limbo and not be able to finish and get a C of O and get his investment dealt with. I understand that. But at the same time, I think letting it go is not a good precedent for us.
Well, I feel like we should maybe at least give him the opportunity, since he's here now, to speed it along and see if he's agreeable to any of the proposals.
All right, why don't we do this? Why don't we reopen the public hearing and have the applicant come forward? Yeah, why don't you come forward real quick?
If you let me, I want to make a statement about landscaping. Commissioner saw that I kept, this house has a line of trees at the left side of the house that I didn't have to keep them. I keep everything. This is one of the best landscaping I ever had. I spent $28,000 for the only landscaping. Landscaping is beautiful. you should come and see the landscape.
Did come and see the
I'm
landscaping.
sorry, but the landscaping, I keep as much as tree as I could. Like, I think I have like something like 10 old trees. Each one is over 30 years old. It's just like,
I'm talking about the front of the house, which is the face that the public sees. Sorry, I didn't mean.
the front of the house also, I have a line of, I have, trust me, I did not try to,
Okay.
you know, do any cost saving on the landscaping. Like I said, this is the most expensive landscaping I ever had. And right now the landscaping, it's just a matter of preference. I don't have anything to, you know, to prove you, but I can invite you to come and see the landscaping. This is, like I said, this is one of the best landscaping I ever had. It's the most money I have ever paid. Like,
Would you be willing to revisit some of these gable ends where there was decorative truss?
I do whatever you tell me, you recommend me. I can, you know, the reason I'm saying that truss is not going to work because I don't have any room. It's going to kill the light. I don't have, this is small gables with very low pitch. So the reason I didn't come with corbels because they have different overhang. So the overhang that the gable, if I add I can, it's not a big deal. Trust me, it's not tens of $1,000s. For me, it's nothing. It's zero. It's zero cost because everything is signed. I can add it. You just tell me what to add. I add it. It's not a big deal. And I do it in 2 days, just 2 days. Because everything I have this agreement with my guys that, hey, if this happens, you're gonna have to come back and do it. So this is not something that I can do it. But trust is not, to me, it's not working. At garage, it's not working because I have a camera there. I have a Ring camera. So it's not working there. I can make that extensions like corbel, but the problem I had, I show it to Commissioner Lee, that I have different overhang. So in the front, it's going to be different. It's not working together. It was much easier for me to do it in the first place. And again, I didn't want to disrespect this committee. Like I said before, I was thinking these are all FYI until I learned that, oh no, I have one of the items in as the, you know, so it's not like disrespecting or bypassing the process. Much more difficult for me. I'm paying $3,000 for 3. It's just like the only thing that, you know, I really wanted to remove was the fake chimney. That one I did not want that because it was waste of money. It was like on the way. It was really unnecessary, really unnecessary. But truss, I do it. I believe it's gonna kill it. I can do it. It's not a big deal. Just you tell me, please meet with me. I invite you. I just staged the house. Meet with me for a, you know, I can show you, and I do whatever you tell me. And trust me, I do it in less than a week, 3 days, because everything is ready. I even bought the material for the gable ends. Like I said, landscaping is beautiful in this house. It is beautiful. It is. I never.
About,
This.
okay. I'm talking about.
Those 3 cost me a lot.
May I?
It was much easier to cut all the trees.
Yeah. Okay, but okay, never mind. That's okay.
Do we have any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Anyone in the public want to make any comments? No emails? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Close the public hearing. So back to the square one. It sounds like he's willing to do anything we want him to do. So what conditions do we want to lay down?
While you're thinking, I just want to clarify for the record, I personally am not hooked on the idea that we're accusing you somehow of cutting costs. So if you had added gold trim to this house, we would be equally upset, right? It would cost much more, but it's not what we approved. So it's not about some idea that you're trying to cut the landscape budget and cut the budget of it's that it's different. It could be different in the opposite direction, right? You could have put marble all over the front yard and it would have cost you a fortune and we still would have had a problem, right? Because it's not what we approved. So it's not, I just want to make sure for the record for other applicants, it's not whether it's cheaper or more expensive, it's the fact that it's different than what was approved. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I still would like to see some additional details. I agree those curved brackets don't necessarily go, but a straight bracket that could be used on the columns and potentially on the eaves of the gable ends might be sufficient. Sure.
I mean, we could also just continue and have them come back with this carousel can never end. I mean, it's not our job to design the house.
I thought that's what they were supposed to do this time. Maybe.
They were.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if we have no other suggestions, we should either continue it or deny it or approve it.
You want me to make a motion? I'm going to make a motion to deny this project.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we have a second on that? No. We have a question?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I don't see it as, I would love to see some compromise here. I don't think denying the project, it's not a bad looking project. It didn't follow the process and it looks flatter than what we wanted to approve. Personally, I don't want you to add the trusses back at this point. I don't know that that's the right answer. We've already said we don't need the shutters. We don't need the brick facade on the chimney. So I think we're down to brackets. We agree, or maybe I'll speak for myself. I agree that the curved bracket doesn't fit your current aesthetics. So don't use a curved bracket. Use a straight bracket. For the columns, and then, and I'm not an architect, so I'll defer to my architect colleagues, whether that would work for the gables as well. A similar design, just a modern bracket, but not a truss. So I guess you would call it a corbel at the gable. But you guys, wait.
I'm more or less on the same page as far as that goes. Yeah, I think that's the things that I can see that the project objectively should have based off of what we've seen so far.
I'm of the opinion that the applicant needs to come back with some solutions.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying one for one that I care about the shutters, the trusses, the corbels. It's not those pieces specifically. It's the whole that has become flat. And the applicant could choose to have their architect do more work on it and come up with a presentation that will help us see value in what's needed. Or if they so chose, they could contact planning and work with one of the design review consultants to help finish this off. But we're trying to put a Band-Aid on something, and in the end, we're just going to say nothing. And then we will have defeated the purpose of our process.
It's just turning into horse trading.
And so I think that there needs to be something done to improve the aesthetic. And I'm open to landscaping opportunities, or I'm open to some other things, not just the things that were taken. But I'm feeling like we're not getting anywhere on something that has turned out to be flat. So
It sounds like we should continue it.
I think that denying it doesn't give him any way out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm open to a way out. It's just the way out isn't going to come back with another corbel.
Right.
It's got to come back with something that,
Holistic.
that helps this elevation. And then we have something to talk about.
Okay. Well, do we have a motion to continue with then, and hopefully they can come back another time for a better presentation?
I would make the motion to continue if you would withdraw your motion to deny.
Yeah, we'll withdraw it.
Okay, I make a motion that we continue.
We have a second?
For all second.
All right. We have a motion to continue by Commissioner Schmidt, seconded by Commissioner Shores. Can we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Fab,
Oh, boy. Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Horan,
Aye.
and Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. The motion to continue passes 6001. Is that appealable?
It is not appealable.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 9F, which has been continued. So we will move on to item 10A, 739 Laurel Avenue for design review study. Were any commissioners not able to visit this project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communication regarding the project? Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear staff report?
Yes. This subject property is zoned as R2, which allows up to 2 dwelling units on the lot. In addition, up to 2 ADUs are permitted. The subject property is an interior lot and contains 2 dwelling units and 2 separate structures. With this application, the applicant is proposing to demolish all existing structures on the lot and build a new 2-story, 2-unit dwelling and attached garage, as well as an ADU at the rear of the lot. The 2 dwelling units are in 2 separate structures with enclosed garages located at the rear of the front. Each unit would provide a kitchen, living, and dining rooms and 4 bedrooms. The total proposed lot coverage would be 3,973 square feet, where 4,357 square feet is the maximum allowed. There's no floor area ratio regulation in the R2 zoning district. Units A and B are located at the front and rear of the lot respectively, and each contains 4 bedrooms. Based on the number of bedrooms in each unit, a total of 4 parking spaces are required, 3 of which must be covered. The project proposes 4 covered parking spaces in the garage, which is attached and at the rear of Unit A. Therefore, the project is in compliance with off-street parking requirements, and all other zoning code requirements have been met. Staff is open to questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for staff? No? Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you'd like to add about your project?
Hi, I'm Alicia Ader. I'm with Dreiling Toronas Architecture. I'm one of the project managers on this with Richard Toronas, who's the architect. Jason is also from our office working on it as well. Unfortunately, the developer couldn't be here tonight, and he also hasn't spoken to the neighbors, but seeing that this is similar to other duplexes and multifamily projects in the neighborhood, we believe that this works well within the general block view. When considering the neighborhood and the eclectic style and character for the architecture, Richard and I landed on a somewhat prairie style design combined with Frank Lloyd Wright's Usonian principles of housing for the people, long, deep overhangs, simple plans, and durable and dignified materials. The architecture is residential in character and cohesive in the as a complex of buildings across the site. We believe that in this neighborhood, it presents itself as a home from the street view. And as you move forward into the site, as you go around Unit A, it reveals a multifamily as you transition through the site. This was a study in style, scale, and character, as well as communal living expressions. We're requesting no special permits other than the alternate means of protection from the fire marshal, which was already approved. We are asking for design review consideration and approval. Any questions, comments?
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Just one quick one.
Uh-huh.
On sheet A 4.4. Sorry, I was kind of lost in the plan, trying to figure that one single door. That leads to what?
Yeah, that's something we're currently working on. We noticed that recently in our plans for the rear of Unit B. So we're gonna figure out what that door is needed or not, but with working with Jason and Richard, it seems like it's not necessary.
Okay, and if you do feel that it is needed, like the other doors that have been provided some weather protection, it'd be nice to provide some for that door.
Just a little overhang or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I believe that based on Unit B and how close it is to the ADU, we don't believe that's necessary.
That door would be necessary?
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? No? Okay, do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on this item? Do we receive any public comment?
There were none.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to close the public hearing. Do we have any comments, motions?
I think it's a really good-looking project. I think in a area zoned R2, I don't have any concerns about the density. It's fully compliant, so it doesn't require any exceptions. I like how they kind of tuck the garage in the middle, so it's not visible at all. It's kind of impressive that you have this many garage spaces and this much space built out, and it just doesn't look like that from the street. So I think that is actually respectful of the neighborhood. I'm a fan of the prairie style, so it looks good.
I agree. I think it's a very elevated design, just very beautifully done, nice and clean and
I was going to make the same, oh,
yeah, go ahead.
second.
No, you go right ahead. Why do you want me to make a motion?
Oh, no. I was going to say, I agree about the tucked in garages, that
Mhm.
exact same words I was going to say about the garage. I think former Commissioner Taronis used to say, handsome design. This is,
Yeah.
in his words, a very handsome design
Mhm.
and beautiful solution to meet the program. Now you can go ahead.
Oh, now I get to. Okay. So I would like to, unless there's anybody have, okay. I would like to make a motion to approve 739 Laurel Avenue as submitted.
It's for design
Yeah,
review.
do you want to bring it back on?
Oh.
Or
Consent?
consent?
Sorry. I don't know. Consent?
Consent.
Okay, we'll do consent. Yeah.
I'll
Those
second
are
that
no
motion.
comments, right? So we don't have any concerns. So consent.
Second the motion for consent.
We have a motion by Commissioner Fast, seconded by Commissioner Schmid for consent. Do we have any discussion on that motion? No? Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Pfaff,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Horan,
Aye.
and Chair Lowenthal.
Aye. That motion for consent passes 6-0-0-1. And that action is not appealable. Great. We will move on to agenda item number 11, Commissioner reports. Were there any commissioner reports?
Oh, I have one. It was that the Broadway, you got all invited, but you didn't go. There was a Broadway Zoom on the Broadway specific plan that happened last week, right, Ruben? Were you-
Last week.
Last week, yeah. Yeah, were you there? Anyway, so that was interesting. Kind of went over some, design issues and different options. Nothing set yet, but they're still taking input. So
Is the material posted online?
it will be, right?
Brittany's working on that one with Joe. I don't recall if there's any information yet.
I don't.
It will be.
There yet.
This was the public.
It was, well, no, it was a Zoom public.
I think
Yeah.
Joe wanted to finalize some things, but he wanted to post everything in like a full package.
Mhm.
Since he noticed in the meeting a lot of people were interested in the details of the parking study. He wanted to include that as well, but I need to double check that. But I can let y'all know if you'd like.
Thank you. Yeah, parking, of course, is something that came up extensively, so, yeah.
I didn't get any communication on that. Was it?
Oh, I thought it
like
came
through the newsletter?
No, I thought it came through the portal. I got something through the portal. I thought it went to all of the
So
commissioners.
the meeting last week was that you were in was for the CAC, the
Oh, it-
Community Advisory.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought it went to all the, sorry about that. Anyway, it was interesting.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other reports? Agenda item number 12, director reports.
There are no planning items to report from the November 4th city council meeting, so I have nothing to share.
And number 13, do we have any future agenda items? No? Okay. Then we will adjourn this meeting at 9:52 PM. I'm sorry, 8:52. Daylight.
You.